Hi guys, welcome to Comfort Life channel. It's Irina here. I am a holistic nutritionist and a beauty expert, and I'm very happy to see you here on my channel. Do not forget to subscribe to my channel and say hello in the comments below. I would also love to know what topics in health or beauty and skincare you're most interested in. That would really help me to make the videos for you so you could get the answers probably that you're looking for. In the topic of today's video, we're going to learn a little more about BPA and also about its alternative, which is BPS and others. Unfortunately, the number of chemicals is growing exponentially. BPA is one of the highest volume chemicals with billions of pounds produced every year. A lot of studies have connected BPA with very serious diseases such as cancer, obesity, childhood obesity, heart disease, reproductive disorders, diabetes, birth defects, breast cancer, and others. So the list is pretty serious. You can also watch my video where I talk about BPA in the receipts and give you a few useful tips how to stay away from it. As per the government regulations, people in the United States, the general population, so to say, only gets less than like 1,000 times lower than the safety limit. So there is a safety limit, which is good, but still, we see a lot of problems. We see cardiovascular diseases, we see thyroid problems, we have problems with weight control. That concerns kids as well. We have problems with liver function, immune function, all that is linked to BPA. Obviously, it raises the question, how is the safe level, the lowest level, identified? So normally they would start dosing animals in the lab with like super high amounts, and then they will keep lowering the dose until like whatever adverse effects disappear, and like automatically they will assume that everything below that dose is safe for people, right, to be around this chemical, right? But nobody really knows about each unique person how much, what is the lowest dosage for me personally. Nobody knows that. Nobody could ever pretty much do a study about that. And we don't know how the substance that could disrupt your hormones will work in your body, in you. So I would say a great question is, what levels are really low for every single person? It is impossible to know that. It is the truth that almost everyone, including the kids, is exposed to BPA, and we have BPA in our blood. What's interesting to know, though, is that if a person is going to fast or drink only from the glass bottles, or have the diet of whole foods, nothing packaged, nothing cans, for as little as 3 days, the levels of BPA in the blood, they drop significantly. To add to that, we still can inhale even some amount of BPA from the dust, and of course, as I've explained in the previous video, we could get it through the skin, touching the receipts. I believe it's wise to know a little bit about the history of BPA. So BPA was first developed over 100 years ago as a synthetic estrogen, and it still is a synthetic estrogen. In the 1950s, the industry realized that it could also be used to make polycarbonate plastic. And now it is one of the most used chemicals worldwide. It was, like, they claim not to use BPA anymore. Even in the 1950s, back then, a few months later, this chemical was not allowed to be used in the sippy cups and baby bottles. So this synthetic estrogen is used to line food and beverage cans, especially, it seems, in tuna or condensed soups. So I don't understand how, on the one hand, you can claim BPA to be completely safe, but on the other hand, you ban it from being used in the sippy cups and baby bottles. That sounds really weird. Now, adding to the topic, we all know that almost everywhere, everything you touch, which is packaged, you will see that it's BPA free. But it is still made of plastic. So what they did, they switched from BPA and added other chemicals like BPS and BPF, and maybe, you know, like the whole alphabet, which is going to go after the BP. Obviously, these are new chemicals. We don't know much about them yet, but we still have some studies that could help us to determine whether they're really safe. Our diet contains right now not only BPA, but it contains so many other different things like BPS, BPF, and other things which we don't even know about. We need to remember is that there is a similarity of their chemical structures of BPS, BPF, and BPA. They are all predicted to affect testosterone production and estrogen receptor activity. When we start not worrying ourselves when we see something BPA-free, or even when we're said that this sales receipt is BPA-free, but BPS and BPF seem to have similar effects that disrupt male and female hormones like BPA did. What's interesting is that they're not using BPA, but the receipt you're attaching might contain 40% more BPS than it would have BPA, which means, in conclusion, that BPA-free could be even worse. And a final thought, all BPA replacement products tested to date release chemicals having reliably detectable estrogenic activity. I have collected some material from Dr. Greger where he talks about the brand name Triton, which is claimed or specifically marketed to be an estrogen-free brand, a product. But if you drip in a petri dish an extract on human breast cells, you can accelerate their growth. The fact that it's abolished by an estrogen blocker. So we obviously can see a lot of red lines here. What's funny is that these effects can even be produced if the product is not heated, like it hasn't been under sunlight, it hasn't been microwaved, so it was just in its pure unstressed state, not exposed to any heat or UV rays, and it still gets this effects on our bodies. Well, again, we can't say that there has been a study where 100 people were using this products and 100 people were not using them. So as a result, this group developed certain problems, diseases, and cancers versus this group. So this kind of studies are not even possible to conclude. But many other studies really show us that we should not be feeling like completely safe and forget about some measures that we could take or tips that we could use to prevent and protect ourselves from too much of the exposure, be so BPA, BPS, or whatever goes after that BP letters, and we should be careful. The easiest thing we could do is reduce the use of polycarbonated plastics, which are usually labeled with the code 3 or 7. When we are shopping for food, we need to opt for the fresh or frozen foods, and we should reduce the amount of canned foods as much as possible, even it says BPA-free on it. So especially tuna and condensed soups, because they seem to have the highest amount of these chemicals. Now, when we're shopping for food, everything that you could find fresh, that you could cook yourself, some food that you don't need to put in the microwave, that would greatly reduce the exposure to the harmful chemicals. Talking about canned food, talking about canned fruit, well, it's actually also a matter, because one thing you buy it really from time to time, or I understand that it's pretty hard to, on the one hand, to stop using bottled water. It's so convenient, it's not expensive, versus you need to install some kind of filter or, you know, figure it out, this whole purification, water purification thing. But even if you're doing it on here and there, that's fine. We understand that when you're traveling, you can have, you know, all kind of things with you, but at home, probably when you are regularly there, you could figure out how to install a good filter system and buy yourself a stainless steel or a glass water bottle. Basically, if you're eating canned foods, be so fruits, vegetables, whatever it is, on a regular basis, weekly, it will be associated with the increased BPA exposure in your blood. If you are using plastics still, like the easiest thing to replace is the containers for storing food. You should never put them in the dishwasher. You should never microwave them. And the thing with water bottles, summertime, or if you leave where the climate is really hot, even if you know the source, and it's impossible to say, this water is being transferred from God knows where, and it's obviously been heated during the transit time. I have seen so many times when they're unloading produce and products, they just put the water outside under the sun, and you can only guess how long it's been there for. Yes, then it's going to be transferred to the store, cool down, and you could be a happy customer, but you don't know what has been the history of this particular water bottle, which makes it more dangerous. Now, you should never use the water bottle when you took it with yourself, say, and you stopped by a store and you came in the car and it's 90 degrees and it's obviously been heated. I would not suggest you to drink that type of water. Just toss it out. And if the water has been heated or under the sun, it's not good to be used. Also, you should never microwave the plastic. I've mentioned that. And obviously, glass, ceramic, stainless steel containers would be the best bet. Luckily, there are a lot of options, and maybe they might seem a little bit more expensive, but there's nothing that's going to happen to stainless steel, obviously, and you need just to be careful with glass or ceramic products. I hope, guys, I really hope this video has been useful. Now you do know that the alternatives are not as safe as they claim to be, and with the government and all that, very often at first we do hear that this thing is safe. And it's only a matter of time until it will be proclaimed unsafe, but you have been a frequent user of this particular thing. So just not going crazy, obviously, not too overwhelmed, but just simple things you could do already today to prevent yourself from too much exposure, especially your kids as well. Like those lunch boxes, there are a lot of stainless steel options over there, so you could still invest and know that you've been protected on that side. If you have any questions, please let me know. And again, if you could share your thoughts about what topics are really interesting for you, that would really greatly help me there. I wish you guys to enjoy the rest of your day. I wish you to always do your research or watch my videos, and just spend a little bit more time and thought about your health, because happiness really starts with your health. All the best, guys, and I see you in my next video.